Hello.
What do you want to talk about, Tom?
I want to talk about surfacing some of the resources that I found after this still very long out in the desert wandering for 40 years trying to find resources that would help people onboard the EOS.io EOS network. So last 2 days I found discovered Telos. And I know you mentioned Telos before a while back, but we've just been focusing on just me trying to onboard EOS, the EOS
Yeah.
network, and learning on that. And I've been hitting a wall because the tutorials really haven't been intuitive, user friendly. And lo and behold, I came across Telos, which is doing everything that we've been complaining about how there hasn't been enough effort been putting into mass adaptability, creating what EOS said it was going to set out to do, was just to create these amazing dApps and create this whole new platform as an alternative to all the expensive transaction fees in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So EOS doesn't do that, but it kind of stopped in 2019 for whatever reason. And
Yeah.
people like me who are just new to this are having a lot of difficulty finding resources, like usable, user-friendly resources. So discovered Telos, it's doing what we were hoping EOS was supposed to do. So sorry, that's a very long-winded way of saying we're going to be serving up a couple of links. Hopefully, if you are looking for what I was looking for, which is how to get on the testnet and their mainnet, Telos might get you there faster than EOS.
It sounds great. I feel bad I didn't know that, but I just, I kind of it makes perfect sense. I had always kind of assumed Telos was a
fork.
fork, and I kind of just blocked it out of my head because I was like, okay, they went that way, bye, have a nice life.
Mm-hmm.
I won't think about you anymore. And you very correctly said, no, that they went the right way. We should follow them.
Yeah, the reasons for their fork.
Driving around in a circle in the parking lot, going, I know I'm going to find a spot somewhere.
Yeah, well, listen,
You're like, go to the other parking lot.
I've been driving around the parking lot. I can't find anything.
This one.
Yeah, and maybe we'll address
the other one.
Maybe I'll get into the details. We'll get into details in some future video of what our experience has been just trying to onboard EOS. But Telos did this fork from EOS for all the right reasons. Because usually when you see forks done on certain blockchains, it's because they want to create new currencies that they can bank on. These people in Telos. And I encourage everyone to go to telos.net. You could see from their portfolio of dApps that these people really are interested on creating things that people would use. In fact, one of the big headlines, the pitch headlines in the telos.net landing page is, we are creating something that you won't even know is on blockchain. So I knew right there that they're just on the same page as us. Like, we don't care that it's on the blockchain. We care that we're making something that people can use. Amen. I just gave them a standing ovation when they said that. So that's what I want to talk a little bit about. Go to telos.net, check out their portfolio of dApps. They have games, they have finance stuff, they have all sorts of just stuff that people should be building in blockchain.
Yeah, they're great. I looked through the people kind of running the place too, and they all look, nice, normal, sensible, hardworking, good people. I mean, there's, sometimes you go through the cast of characters and you're like, ooh, these people look a little shady.
Yeah.
But it's a good group.
Yeah.
Just super kind of, standard, decent, normal tech people doing clever stuff. It's
yeah. So what is interesting is in the world of crypto, flash in the pan, like fly by night kind of thing, is that I'm curious why they haven't gotten a lot of attention and press
Well, because
coverage.
it's a factory, not a casino, right? I mean, the only thing that's getting any traction right now are these stupid casinos people are building that are essentially just suckering people in, and somewhere somebody's going to lose money, a lot, but it's sort of the casino model, right? Is you get everybody excited because they think they won $100, and then before they know it, they walked out of your place having lost 3,000.
Yeah. You shared a link. It's kind of related to what we're talking about coverage and why Telos has been so under the radar and no one can find about it. You had a link about the Silicon Valley mob bosses. And the takeaway of that story was that, just for the people who don't know what I'm talking about, Archon on Graceland shared this Twitter link. It's a story about this startup that was competing in the online processing payment space. And one of the hurdles that they encountered was press coverage. And what they've learned over the years is that press coverage in this industry is also kind of owned. It kind of favors, it's not really a free press in that industry, right? They were...
Well, it kind of got Reddit style thing, right? Where people have clout, and the guys on the inside, the insiders have more clout just by virtue of the algorithm isn't stupid. It knows that if you're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars and you click I like that, that's a lot of clout, right? Whereas if you're some schmo in a basement, then clicking I like that, less clout. So the people, I think it was Thomas Jefferson, said, I don't know if it's Jefferson, but somebody said, rarely do two or three men gather together except in the pursuit of the restraint of trade.
That's what happened. It sounds like he was sharing this story. This startup CEO said that part of his
you got to be part of the club, right? So and you're joining the club, you got to pay everybody their little share, right? And he's like, I didn't want to have to give up all this extra. I mean, I've had these conversations, right? And the pitch is, well, would you rather have a little bit of a big thing or a big bit of nothing? And you sit there, you're like, I think I'm going to have a little bit of nothing if I keep doing this with you guys.
So what comes with the pay-to-play scheme is also the press coverage that you get along with it, was what he's saying. And he never got that. In fact, I don't know whether he said that one of the press coverage was deliberately negative to the startup because they're going against this monopoly. So I'm wondering if that's what maybe happened with Telos too. Is like these people are not doing stuff that would be in the interest of the speculators. They're making this truly, very what's the word, altruistic driven kind of thing, like make it open source, usable. So why would any press in the crypto world want to highlight that? And we have the same issue too in the gaming industry too. That's like a big scandal a few years back about the not GameStop, Gamergate they call it, in which press coverage was deliberately skewed to the pay-to-play people. And if you were making really cool, awesome games that did not fit the woke agenda or what have you, you were like, no one's going to talk about you. So,
yeah, well, I mean, look, places like Google have very simple business models, right? There's probably a few hundred keywords that drive 80% of the revenue for Google.
mm-hmm.
I mean, we give a mortgage, I don't know, stomach pain. Like, you're just selling. There's not that many words that when people click on them, Google makes $50. So in theory, that's, you probably wake up every morning sort of terrified that somebody's going to come along and figure out a better way to do your business. And then all of a sudden, there goes 90% of your revenue, right? You're the phone book.
Yeah.
Remember, like I knew a guy that worked for this big printing company. I think it was R. Donnelly or something. And I mean, they made $3 or $4 billion a year printing phone books. And they got laws passed because, obviously they like printing these phone books. And so they would every city they get a law passed that said you had to deliver a phone book to every resident. And so there was just this legal requirement to go print a phone book pretty much for like every person in America, and probably 2 or 3, because, there was the local phone book and the regional phone book. And so you probably remember, it's kind of stopped now, mercifully, but you get these shipments of phone books every year, which that show up, and like towards the end, everyone was like, I don't want that. It's like a giant, stupid thing that I just don't want in my house anymore because it's not useful.
Well, I did not know that was part of some legislation. So you got to wonder how big of the checkbook you got to have to get that bill passed. Or
well, you could make a case that grandma didn't get her phone book, and then she called and tried, and it was really very upsetting for her that she couldn't look up her friend's phone number. So it's very important that we pass this law to protect grandma having to go through that again.
Well, I'm going to take a little side excursion here now that we're talking about phone book. This is useful stuff too. So we have a family friend who lives in West Palm. She's a retired New York cop, and she gave us a tip about how back in the day when she was still out in the streets doing her thing as a cop in New York. I'm not going to give her a name because she'll get in trouble. How do you get the bad guys to fall in line before they show up in the precinct house? Is that phone books don't leave any marks, according to them. So if you're going to get someone to talk or just bend them to your will, just use a phone book because it doesn't leave any marks, according to her. Can't be traced.
I've heard that, and I haven't understood. Do you hit them with the phone book, or do you put the phone book up against them and punch the phone book so that the force of the punch goes through the phone book?
She didn't specify, but it sounds the latter is more likely, because I imagine if I struck you with a phone book, you would bruise.
Right. It would look like, it would hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like ripped it, like opened it up and just put it on top of you and then just like punched you.
I will follow up on that question. So the next time we would answer that. How was this applied? How was this phone book applied that it doesn't leave any incriminating marks?
And then the next question is, if you're punching the guy on the phone book, doesn't that hurt you?
I don't know the physics or the mechanics of it, but apparently it's standard issue, according to her, for New York cops, the phone book. So we'll find out in the next episode. But anyway, so back to Telos.net. There's 2 other features that I found really amazing too, is that they have this virtual machine. Just who are just watching this, correct me if I'm wrong. The virtual machine allows developers on Solidity on Ethereum to transition
that's cool,
faster to the Telos network. And I haven't looked into that yet. I don't know if it does what I think it does, but I think it's just like, again, pretty amazing that they have accounted for the fact that it shows that they're interested in mass adoption and trying to get other people that's been developing on other blockchains on board. So, I was like, this is pretty cool that they have put an effort to make something that is an emulator for Solidity and Ethereum. So,
no, it looks. I wonder why I was going to say why the EOS Foundation didn't just, or why Telos didn't just take over the whole EOS project. I guess
my feeling about Telos now is the way I feel about here in Sarasota, Florida. Is like you don't want everyone to find out where you are because everyone would just want to come in and the land speculators will come and start building 40-story high rises, which I know you kind of like because you're into high rises, right, David?
just for New York, not for.
Okay. Yeah. And so it's
Was it
almost
Northern
like
Michigan? Somebody built a office, like a huge high-rise hotel there. It was very weird. It's
yeah.
lots of room here. You didn't have to build a 30-story building.
So I don't know if that kind of activity would just stretch their resource and get them unwanted attention. I don't know, but I'm kind of happy I found them, and it was very hard to find them. So I hope that we would do our little part by putting up the links, and hopefully whoever is out there, you've been struggling to find an alternate API to interact with the EOS.io based blockchain. Hopefully Telos will get you closer to your dream.
Who are their block producers?
That is something I should look up. One of the key complaints about EOS block producers is that, at least this was 2 years ago, I don't know what the latest is, and most of them are, not most of them, I think about 59% are based in China. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's a cause of concern.
EOS has a huge, I mean, Block One is based in Hong Kong, so then they have a big Chinese kind of group of people that like EOS.
Yeah, again, with everything that's happening in the world, you don't know what their interest is really based on. It's not the same as what we're interested in. Anything to. Yeah, why would a country like China be interested in decentralization? That seems.
Yeah, right. It's like that's not your. It's not your guy's thing.
Yeah, although we have said before in a couple of last video, there is a way to build a blockchain that is anti-blockchain. There's this thing called a private blockchain. So in theory, your state apparatus can move its entire operation to an even more obscure and black box the whole thing. That's what people don't understand about smart contracts and blockchains. It's not necessary. It isn't by default. It's not by default an open and transparent thing. It's just however you configure it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also the old problem in a totalitarian state. If you're running the place, everyone's lying to you because they're all terrified you're going to kill them. So at some point, you can't make decisions because you have all the information you're getting is fantasy, right? It's aspirational. Nobody's actually telling you what's going on. So I would imagine on some level too, if you can actually see what's happening, you can put in a blockchain and actually see what's happening. As a good totalitarian, you're like, actually, that would be useful because then I could maybe make a decision that would be more likely I would stay in power, right? As opposed to these things where you're like, like poor old Stalin, right? He's like busy shooting everybody left and right because he's so freaked out that they're all out to get him.
Yeah. So blockchain is in the be-all, smart contract and blockchain is in the be-all and cure-all of everything. Because as we said, even Satan knows how to quote scripture. So he quotes scripture very well, yeah.
If you're a good totalitarian and you could force everyone onto your blockchain product, but only like you and only you had the
21 block producers
password, what was happening, you could at least go, I can see what's going on here.
Yeah. So your block producers could just also, in theory, not be democratic too. It could just be, everyone's cousin. Anyway.
But I think one of the big problems they have in China right now is all the local officials are reporting nonsense back to the Central Committee.
Right.
So you're the planner, and every damn town in the country is telling you everything's awesome. We're meeting our quotas. And you're like, well, then the place is, the warehouse is half empty. So what's up?
Actually, so you just made a very it's a twisted example of why actually blockchain will be perfect for China too, because they
Right.
want to be able to keep tabs on their local officials.
Right. You got to like put it on the blockchain. I want to see what the hell's going on.
Yeah. So I think people need to revise their rainbows and unicorns picture of what blockchain is, because it's just not. It's like when it gets into the real world and it conforms to the need of the real world, you would see that it's not a fix for totalitarianism, authoritarianism. It's just how you use it. You know, I can get into a car, I can run over people, or I can take you to a place.
Exactly.
That's what technology is.
Yeah, trucks are good for killing people or carrying things around.
Yeah. So there is one last thing I want to talk about.
Yes.
It wasn't hard. It was not easy for me to figure out how to create an account on Telos, at least based on the available information when you Google it. When you Google something for how to create an account in Telos, and this is me talking to everyone, you're going to get this link that tells you to go to telos.net sign up, and you will get this error that we haven't quite figured out why it says that this IP address has already generated too many accounts. So what I got from you this afternoon was another link on the wallet, on the actually, let me just go back to what I was saying. If you want to create a Telos account, the way to do it is, hold on a minute, when I open up my Anchor. Sorry, just a second.
New account Anchor, and then choose Telos.
Yeah. Hold on a minute, just now. Go and download an Anchor app, and from here, you should be able to click on accounts, and then if you say add account, create account, tap on create account, and it will give you, hold on a minute, it's loading the account option. Like, this is the only way that I was able to get an account, not through the website, not through a browser.
Then you have to open the web browser, right? It's going to say go to web.
Yeah. It will open the browser from your phone, but don't try to go through your IP address in your browser. It's just going to give you that weird error. It's still downloaded.
Yeah. But the thing, Tom, I mean, yes, but I don't know why you would want a Telos account today, other than why not?
You need the Telos account because to just start playing on their testnet and everything, it's specific to that blockchain. So that's how their account is. So you need an account on that. I was just going to show everyone that. Hold on a minute. It's okay. You see this here?
Yes.
So you create an account. Now you're going to go to a web portal. This is what you want to see, people. If you could see this thing, you have an option for Telos. Just select that, create a new account, and then, okay, here's the kicker. You do have to pay for it, but it was 99 cents, and then everything else follows. So then after that, you get your keys and what have you, and you can go back to their testnet or their web ID and start, deploying your smart contracts and just playing. So that was
cool. Excellent.
Good FYI. So that's what I got.
Sounds good.
Okay.